violence from which he fled. But Channel 4 News has tracked down one of the first Darfuri refugees that Britain sent back to Sudan, Siddiq Osman, and we have seen signs of the torture he says he suffered at the hands of his former oppressors. Just this week, Tony Blair said that the situation in Darfur was intolerable and the actions of Sudan's government unacceptable. A Downing Street source said the Prime Minister saw it as a defining moral issue. But the Home Office is still sending dozens of Darfuris back to the Sudanese capital, Khartoum. Osman has now managed to escape to an undisclosed country, where our reporter Inigo Gilmore met up with him. This is his exclusive report.
I've come to a city hotel somewhere in East Africa. My journey to the secret rendezvous has been relatively easy. But for Siddiq Osman, the man I was meeting, the road here had been long and traumatic.
These are all rope marks, and here's a big one.
I've been tipped off about his story by a humanitarian group, the Aegis Trust in Britain, who helped him escape from the Sudanese capital, Khartoum, where he says he had been tortured by Sudanese security services.
They came from all sides. There were 3 people doing the torturing. One was doing the questioning, another beating me, another behind me. I was bleeding everywhere. I was soaked in blood. I expected to die. I never thought I'd be alive now.
Siddiq says he escaped within an inch of his life, and while the scars where he was held down with metal hooks are healing, clearly the mental scars will take much longer. So how did Mr. Osman end up in the clutches of the Sudanese security services? Answer, he'd been sent to Khartoum by the British government, another failed asylum seeker. Campaigners say his case could present the most important challenge yet to the Home Office policy of deporting Darfuris to Khartoum. It was in 2004 that Siddiq fled the violence in his Darfur homeland. He says he was worried because his brother was a rebel fighter and he feared for his own life, having been previously detained and tortured. He says he decided to flee after his mother and another brother were killed when their village was attacked by the Janjaweed Arab militia and Sudan's Air Force. The UN says more than 200,000 people have been killed and 2 million others have fled Sudan's western Darfur province. Just this week, Tony Blair called the situation unacceptable, reportedly floating the idea of enforcing a no-fly zone. Encouraged by such words of international support, thousands of Darfuris like Siddiq have headed for Europe and the UK. After his arrival in Britain in 2004, he sought asylum and joined fellow Darfuris in anti-Khartoum demonstrations in London. We obtained these photos from a protest held just 15 months ago, showing a much younger-looking Siddiq. His asylum application, though, was already in trouble. The Home Office viewed that he should be sent back, as Khartoum was safe. Siddiq's 2-year legal battle ended in failure in the court, despite what seemed to be a strong piece of evidence that he faced persecution if returned home. This, apparently a warrant for his arrest from a military court, unknown to him and presented to his family in 2004. He was sent it at the end of last year. But for the application for asylum, this document was not translated. We did translate it. It set out the reasons for the decision to arrest him, including that he'd been detained for alleged treason in 1990, and later provided information to his brother, a commander in the Sudanese Liberation Army. It warned that he faced prosecution if he failed to turn himself in. His new lawyer finds it astonishing that the Home Office failed to translate the document.
The case had gone through the whole legal system since September 2004 on the basis that he was at risk in Darfur, should not be sent back there, but it was safe to send him back to Khartoum. This document was material evidence that showed he wasn't safe in Khartoum, and it should have been translated both by the representatives in the Home Office, and it wasn't, and the system failed him.
It's a system that operates in close cooperation with the Sudanese embassy in London. Darfuri deportees are routinely brought here for processing. So I went there to talk about Siddiq's case with the recently appointed ambassador.
Hi, how are you, sir?
Even he conceded an arrest warrant would have been taken seriously by the Home Office.
Had it been correct, I mean, the Home Office here wouldn't have let him be repatriated.
But I want to understand, you just said that if the Home Office had realised what that document was, they would not have sent him back because they would have been a threat to him.
The document is just a fake. This is why the Home Office probably didn't pay any attention to it.
But according to Siddiq's lawyers, the document is authentic, as are his torture claims. I showed the ambassador the video evidence I had of Siddiq's injuries.
This is a claim he is saying from his side. As I told you, I cannot confirm or deny that this thing happened. But still,
You're not denying that.
the door is very open before him to go and seek legal advice and seek legal proceedings against whoever did that thing.
So it is possible that he was tortured.
As I said, I cannot deny, I cannot confirm. With these scars, definitely he has a good case. I mean, he can just pursue it in the legal system.
And the ambassador conceded there had been abuses committed by the security services.
Violence is committed in Darfur, and lots of cases were given to the legal system, and those who committed such crimes were sentenced, and including some army officers, security officers.
So you're saying that some abuses are taking place at the hands of the security services?
In Darfur, yes, there are some violations, during the war. They are. But I think like this to happen in Khartoum is very remote, definitely.
But campaigners say that the risk of torture in Khartoum is anything but remote, and that Darfuris detained in the UK in a new roundup in recent days could face the same fate. John Bercow, a Tory MP, raised the torture issue in the House of Commons this week after seeing our evidence.
And see what has been meted out to that individual. That is an experience that will be replicated amongst a great many others. And I would appeal to the Home Secretary John Reid to reconsider British government policy on the return of asylum seekers to fundamentally despotic and unstable regimes.
We put Siddiq's detailed claims to the Home Office, point by point. They replied with just a general statement.
In line with current case law, we continue to consider that it is safe to return to Sudan those Sudanese nationals who have been found by both the Home Office and the independent appeals process not to be in need of international protection. We do not routinely monitor the treatment of individuals once removed from the UK. We would not remove them if we considered that they were likely to suffer persecution on their return.
What happened after you were deported and when you arrived at Khartoum airport?
At his secret hideout, a leading clinical psychologist, Professor Ian Robbins, has been brought in to assess Siddiq. Both he and an independent medical examiner have judged his mental and physical condition to be consistent with undergoing torture, including whipping with electrical flex, at the time Siddiq claims it happened, following his removal to Khartoum in early February.
They took me into a small office and slapped me around and kicked me. I denied I was Sudanese. Later, I was blindfolded and taken to another location in a car. Then I was in a room and I was tied to a chair. After they tied me up, they beat me.
He says the officers showed him some photographs taken in London of Darfuri protesters.
They said to me, "Do you know the people in these photos?" My photo was amongst those they were showing me, except I looked different. I was wearing a hat and had long hair at the time. He began calling out names of people in the photos. I recognized one name.